When you reach Cranberry Island, you discover a series of 7 notes left by a little girl named Eliza Gibbons. The notes are scattered all over the island, and no matter which order you find them in, you always get them in the correct order, 1 through 7. Upon reading the notes, you start to discover a really sad story. Eliza's grandfather, Pat, recently lost his wife. Since then, he's been progressively getting a little bit more irrational, a little bit more crazy, maybe going a little bit senile. Eliza has an older brother named Nathan. According to her journal entries, Nathan bullies her a lot. He also slacks off on work. Grandpa Pat has accused Nathan of fiddling with generators and messing with the machines. On at least one occasion, Eliza caught Nathan coming back to the home after being out all night. She suspects that he was out sabotaging the harvesting machinery. As you continue to explore the island, you repair the generators that solve the riddle that allows you to open up the sealed container in the basement of the primary facility. Once you open it, you find 4 ghouls: Patrick Gibbons, Frederick Gibbons, Victoria Gibbons, and Stephen Gibbons. After you kill them and loot the facility, you find a hand-drawn portrait by Eliza of her family. You quickly realize that the 4 ghouls you just killed were Eliza's mother, father, grandfather, and brother Stephen. But there are 2 ghouls that are missing: Eliza herself and her deadbeat brother Nathan. In the family portrait, she has Nathan crossed off, probably because he bullied her so much. So then, where are Eliza and Nathan? Well, in the same room where you discovered the rest of her family, you find a footlocker, and inside that footlocker you find a key to a shed and also a note. Incidentally, this note spells cranberry wrong. The note is addressed to Nathan, and it's from Eliza's father, Frederick. He instructs Nathan to move the supplies from the supply shed to the bunker in case of an emergency. He then alludes to Nathan's lack of work ethic by reminding him that this is his job, not his brother Stephen's job. I went to the southern portion of the island and found the shack. Inside, there was a bunch of loot, lots of supplies, lots of materials, but no skeleton. I couldn't find any remains of Nathan or any sign that he had ever been there. So I went to exploring the whole island. I did make an interesting discovery. There's an island right next to Cranberry Island called Hunter's Island. On Hunter's Island is a shack. Inside the shack is an interesting scene. We find a bloodied body tied up with his hands behind his back, blood all over the walls, and a mannequin holding a machete. Now, obviously, the mannequin couldn't have killed whomever this was, but it's interesting that the person's hands are tied behind his back. What could this be? Is this part of the entire Cranberry Island Gibbons family saga? Well, just outside is a bench, and on that bench is a skeleton. It's a skeleton of an old man. He's wearing a fedora, some eyeglasses, and he's got an old man's walking cane next to him. I instantly thought of Grandpa Pat. On the bench next to him is a love note to Bridget, and the note reads that the man misses Bridget, whomever she is, and he can't wait to see her again. This leads one to believe that Bridget is dead and the man is pining for her. We remember from Eliza's story that her grandfather, Pat, recently lost his wife. So, could this be the corpse of Pat pining for his lost wife? We also know that Grandpa Pat distrusts Nathan and is going a little bit crazy and senile. So could Grandpa Pat have kidnapped Nathan, tied him up, and slaughtered him in the shed? This would explain why Nathan was missing. In the 7th note that Eliza leaves, she says that she's going to go to Far Harbor for a Halloween party. Now, she says Nathan was originally supposed to take her, but nobody knows where he's at. This would explain why he's missing. He was kidnapped, his hands were tied behind his back, and he was slaughtered in this shack. But there's a problem with this theory, and that's that one of the ghouls you find in the underground bunker is Grandpa Pat. He's there. So there's no way that this skeleton on Hunter Island with the walking cane and the love note to Bridget could be Grandpa Pat. It has to be somebody else. If that skeleton is somebody else, then it's possible that the tied-up, bloodied skeleton could be someone else as well. Now, I actually used the console to search for Nathaniel Gibbons to see if I could find any reference to him, and it's really interesting. I found a reference to every single member of the Gibbons family. This top list right here is the code for each of these NPCs programmed into the game. Now, this bottom list is the actual NPC in the game, and you note that Nathaniel is missing. So they did code Nathaniel into the game, and they coded him into the game as a ghoul corpse, but they never placed him in the game. They only placed the rest of Eliza's family. So it could be that Nathan is this unnamed, unmarked skeleton with his hands tied behind his back, or some other unnamed, unmarked skeleton that I have yet to discover, or none of these, and he was just forgotten by the developers and not included in the game. Now let's turn our attention to Eliza. The final journal entry that Eliza left says that she's going to a Halloween party in Far Harbor. Her brother was going to take her, but he disappeared, so her mother, Victoria, is going to take her. Now remember, we already discovered and killed the ghoul of Victoria in the underground bunker. So what does this mean? If Victoria was there and Eliza wasn't, where is Eliza? Did Victoria take Eliza to the party, drop her off, and then come home to work? Or did Victoria take Eliza to the party, they only stayed for a few minutes, and then they both came home, and Eliza's just nowhere to be seen? It could be that the developers just didn't have it in them to create the ghoul of Eliza, or to even create the dead body of Eliza, and so they left this part of the story deliberately vague. Or it could be that Victoria dropped Eliza off at the party, came back home, the bombs fell, and Eliza died back at the house party. So I went searching for the house where this party was supposed to take place. We know it was at Far Harbor, so I went north to the town of Far Harbor and I searched every single house. Nothing. No decorations, no skeletons of Eliza, until I found a house that's down a bank south of Far Harbor. This is the house that you go to during a quest where you're trying to track down a missing synth. Inside, you find a bunch of trappers who are responsible for the synth's death, and you have the option to kill them or to not. But what's interesting about this house is it's the only house in the entire island with Halloween decorations. There's a pumpkin on the wall outside the door. Now, I've gone through almost every single house on the island trying to find the one with Halloween decorations so I could find the party where Eliza was at. And this is the only house I've found with Halloween decorations on it. Now, inside the house, there's really nothing special. There are the trappers that are part of the other quest. There's the skeleton of a woman in a dress in the top floor, but it's far too large to be Eliza. It's the skeleton of an adult woman, not a little girl. There are a few skulls around the place that the trappers are using to eat out of or to use for light, but there's nothing in this house that talks to the fate of Eliza. All of these skeletons could have appeared here later, and this house has been occupied by people since 2077, so we really don't know. I then searched outside the house looking for gravestones or skeletons buried underwater, and there's just nothing here. There's a car parked outside that's rusted away. There are a few dilapidated cars on the road outside, and that's just really it. So the fate of Eliza is currently unknown. Did she die? Did she die during the Halloween party as the bombs fell? Or, like the boy in the refrigerator, did she get turned into a child ghoul? Will we see the ghoul of Eliza in a future downloadable content? The game has certainly left that possibility open. So to summarize this scene, Grandpa Pat is going senile. He longs for his lost wife. Nathan is a layabout who doesn't do his chores. Father Frederick and Brother Stephen are constantly bickering, worried about taxes and the farm. Little Eliza is bullied by her older brother Nathan, and she's sad that Grandpa Pat is so upset. But on the day before Halloween, 2077, she's told that she's going to go to a Halloween party. This makes her happy. She can't wait to see all of her friends. Despite the fact that her brother Nathan drops the ball and just winds up missing, her mother Victoria says that she'll take her to the party. Victoria drops little Eliza off at the party, waves goodbye, and never sees her again. She goes back home to the bunker, and the bombs drop. She and her family rush to the bunker to try and avoid the fallout, only to discover that Nathan hasn't filled the bunker with the supplies they so desperately need. But they're locked in, and slowly over the millennia they transform into mindless, brainless ghouls that you are forced to kill. Nathan Gibbons vanishes, and we never know what happens to him. That is the story of the Gibbons family of Cranberry Island, and all we know about the fate of little Eliza. What are your theories? What exactly happened to Eliza and Nathan? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you thought. Did you like this video? Do you like segments like this where we delve into side stories of Fallout 4? If so, please let me know below, and I'll be sure to make more videos like this in the future. Please subscribe for more Fallout 4 content, and thank you so much for watching.